Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you here this morning to our webinar. We're going to be doing an intro to the location parameter structure inside of Operator 10, the water and the wastewater program is what we're going to be doing. Again, thank you very much. My name's BJ Yoder. I am one of the product specialists here at AllMax. A little bit about myself. Some of you I probably already know, but some of you I may not know who I am. Um, I am, like I said, I'm a product specialist here with AllMax. My background is, however, not computers. My background is wastewater treatment. I've been in the wastewater industry for going on 37 years this year. So, um, been a fun ride. Been fun enjoying the environment, the people I work with, you as clients, working with you as well. And enjoy what I do from that standpoint, not just from computers, but from the industry itself as a whole. With that being said, I'm going to show you, we're going to be going into the Operator 10 program, like I said, and we're going to be talking about location parameters and the how it works, how this affects how you do data, what it will take you, what information can you use besides maybe even what you're looking at now. So when we're looking at locations and parameters both, a little bit of a definition. Location is, yes, it can be a physical location in your plant, such as your plant influent, your plant effluent, or your raw water, if we're talking water, your tap, your final tap. Those are actual locations built throughout your treatment facility or the data that you track. Now, anywhere in between there, you can have additional stuff, such as your aeration basins or your filters or solids tanks. Again, anything that is an actual physical location. Now, but does not necessarily mean that that location is not just a physical location. It may be a location just to store data. It's what I call a file cabinet. For example, one of the things that we can do from that standpoint is you have a file cabinet called chemicals. Now, inside that spot, the chemical spot location, you may track all your chemicals that you feed at your plant. You may also track chemical costs, such as uh, unit cost and what it costs of the amount of chemicals that you use. So, for example, chlorine, you used 50 pounds of chlorine and it cost you this amount. So per pound, so you get a total of that. That may not even be stored in an actual location, but you're storing it in that chemical location, the file cabinet. Now, why would we want to do a file cabinet and just not do it there? Well, here's an example, polymers. Maybe you have 4 or 5 different locations throughout the plant that you track polymer at. Well, you could put them at those individual locations, but you can also then put it in just one location so it's all in one spot. Okay. So when we go and we look at location parameters inside the program, that is going to fall into the menu item of setup. And then we have LP setup. Now, inside LP setup, there are 3 things: location parameter, locations, and parameters. So what are the differences? Okay. First of all, let's start out with locations. These are exactly what I was just talking about. These are the actual locations throughout that you can go and create. You can create brand new ones here. It's a matter of just giving it a location name, a description, and a facility name. All right. You can do that. That's not a real big issue. That can be done. And you can create the locations there. You can also see the parameter list. The parameter list that is shown here is a default list. This is what is default to your database. All right. This can change over time, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. But this list can be bigger or smaller depending where you're at. I have some clients that have like 100 in here. I have some that have close to 600. It all depends on how things are set up, and we'll go into detail on parameters and how that all works. Now, so you've seen them both under here under locations and parameters. The area that I usually do most of the stuff in when it comes to setup work or adding things is under the location parameter. It combines those two individually and it gives us that structure of being able to do that. Okay. So we're going to go under location parameter. Now, when we're in location parameter, kind of back up and give you a structure of how this works in your database. So for example, in your database, you have a database name. So this is, in this case, this is my wastewater sample database. So this is the name, it's the database name. Now, in there, I have what is called facilities. I can have multiple facilities. So I can have one that, in this case, this is our AllMax wastewater sample facility. All right, so I have that. But let's say, for example, you have 3 water plants. Okay, so you may have your database, city of whatever, is your database name, and then your facilities underneath there, you may end up with 3 of them: water plant 1, water plant 2, water plant 3. Each one of those then may have its own set of location parameters. They may be exactly the same, but they may be their own. Now, the reason to do that and to have them as their own, there's two reasons. Number one, you can keep it separate. So when you have one of your operators, they work at water plant 2. They only have to see the water plant 2 data. They don't have to mess with anything else. Now, the other benefit then is because you have 3 facilities in one database, it gives you the ability to go in and take a look at other things, comparing them. So I may look at the raw water at plant 1, plant 2, and plant 3, and I may put those all on a data view so that I can compare them side by side. Or manipulate that value so I can see it in a chart or whatever. Again, it keeps it separate, but it keeps it together as one whole. Now, in this grid that you see here, you will see grids like this throughout the program. Now, in the location parameter grid, this is showing you several different things. First of all, it's going to give you your facility name, your location, description, parameter description, unit, etc. And we'll go through a bunch of these here in a minute. But one of the nice things about this is this is how you filter. All right. Anytime you see a grid like this, you can filter based on any of the column headers that you have. So for example, under location, I can type effluent and it'll filter everything that has the word effluent in it. The idea here is this, again, is to give you the ability of searching and filtering for what you want to see. This is not going to be something that you're going to be in all the time, but you will need to do this from the standpoint if you need to set up additional location parameters, or you need to add new parameters to a location. For example, you got a new permit. And now you have to do, and you're in wastewater, you now have to do biz 2. So you need to be able to add it to the effluent so that you can do it. That's how this would take place. Now, as we go through here and as we're looking at these, some different things just to kind of show you if we have to do a brand new one. So let's say we have you had the upgrade to the water plant, you now have a new filter that you have to do. You have to add a new filter, or maybe in the wastewater, you've added a new clarifier, an additional clarifier. Again, up to you on what you're doing, but this is how you would do new ones. So when you come in here and you do a brand new one, we have the plus sign up here at the top, and you go and you hit plus. What this is going to do is it's going to bring up a box to add a new location parameter box. Okay, this is the UI or user interface that accomplishes that. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to give it a name. You're going to give it some type of a location name. Now, one of the things that I always recommend, whether you're doing new locations or new parameters, I kind of recommend not to go and add like the hashtag or pound sign, since I'm old, the pound sign or any of the uppercase special characters in that name. Not that it's going to cause a problem. It just, when it comes to filtering, those are wildcards, and sometimes it makes it difficult to find. So we can come in here and we can give it a name. You can call it whatever you want. And then you give it a description. The description is just a descriptor of what you just did. So now when we can go and we can add more to this description, okay? And we can, again, whatever you want to use it and however, it is not required. The only thing that is required is that location name. Now, next is you're going to pick your facility. The facility is, again, depending on how many you have, may show what you in here. Most of you, it'll be one. So you just pick the one that you have, okay? Now, when you have this in here, we now have that top level stuff filled in. Those items are filled in. Now we can go and we can talk about parameters. Now, parameters are can mean several things. So for example, this parameter list, as we look at it, a lot of the things you see are tests or things that you track, such as turbidity or BOD or dissolved oxygen or temperature. That is what is in this list. Okay. Now, when you come down through here, you can sit here and look like I got 200 and something in here, and I can sit here and I can scroll like crazy to try to find what I need. Or just like in the other grid, like I showed you on the location grid, location parameter grid, I can filter. So if I go and I just start typing turb for turbidity, I can find the turbidities that I have here. And I can just select it. And when I select it, I hit OK, and it shows up in this list. This is what I'm going to add to this new location. Now, I can go back in there again, and I can continue to do that exact same thing. So we can look at TSS, for example, or we want to go in and we want to look at temperature. All right. Again, completely up to you on what you're wanting to do and how you want to add things in. And it'll let you go in and put those into the list is what you're doing. Now, let's say you're going down through here and you can't find what you're looking for. All right. We can't find Biz2, for example. I don't even know if I have a Biz2 in here, to be honest with you. I don't even have a Biz2 in here. I can't find it. So at that point, and this is where the program can be very flexible for you. All I have to do then is hit the plus sign. And what this will do is this is going to pop up a window that allows us to create a brand new parameter. I can call it whatever I want. So I can call it Biz2. I can go in and I can put the units in. We can use from the unit list if we want. Okay. And I can go in and I can give it a better description. Again, completely up to you. Now, the only thing that is and then I can say how many decimal precision, how many decimal places I need. The only thing that is required is the parameter name. Now, when we do units, just so you know, units are affected on like on state reports when they're, let's say we're looking at a monthly average loading. Based on those units will depend on how that's getting done. So if we're doing in milligrams per liter, of course, it'll be the concentration in milligrams per liter times 8.34 to get times the flow to get the pounds. Okay, so that's stuff that it will come into play. Now, I can go and I can create a brand new one just like this, and I can hit save. It will add it to the list. Another thing that we can do is if you're feeling like you want to have some fun and you want to search for some unique things, you can pull up the list of close to 17,000 STORAD code EPA parameters that are out there. This is the list that is put out by the federal EPA. You can pull those up and you can look at those. Now, with that being said, if you know the STORAD code, so we have STORAD codes here in the United States for different reporting. So for example, flow in million gallons a day, the STORAD code is going to be 50050. All right. So I could just type it in right here above and I could find it and I can add it that way or whatever. But you have that ability. You can search this and look for it if you want. or you can just hit save on the one that you did. And then when you hit it OK, it's there. So now when we go back to that parameter list, we do have this two in there. So we can just start typing, and it finds it. So the idea here behind this is to go and give you the ability so that you can create parameters for whatever occasion or whatever you need. Now, like I said, these may be parameters that you're using for reporting purposes. Maybe they are parameters that you're tracking for your due to your permit. Well, it may not be. Okay. We may be searching for, maybe we're just doing stuff to track inspections. So we created a location, and at this, we want to go and have an operator's initial. So what we do is we go in, we look up for operator. If we don't have one, we don't have an operator in here, we can go and we can add a brand new one and add it to the list and go on accordingly. Now, at this point, then we can hit save. When we're all done, we hit save. It's down here to the bottom. It says it's success. We're good. All right. So we close this. So now if I come in here and I type in name, those are the ones that we just added. Now, that's great if we're doing brand new. I just showed you how to add a brand new one. All right. So let's go back and we filter back for our effluent, and we got our new permit. Our new permit came in, and it's like you're going down through there. Oh no, we got to add biz 2 to the effluent because we have to sample for it. It's not in here. We can look. It's not in here under the effluent. So what we can do at that point, we don't want to hit the plus sign and create a brand new one because we already have a location associated with it. All right. So what we would want to do is do the drop down arrow and do, at that point, when we do the drop down, we have an add parameters to location. When we do that and we go in and we create that, we select that, the upper level stuff is already filled in. Right. So we don't have to go in and fill all that stuff in because we're already using one that exists. Everything else is the same. We go to the plus sign, we type in what we want to look for, and we hit OK, and we save it. It'll add it to the list. Now, here's a benefit. Let's say, for example, I'm going to filter for ENT, which is the effluent. I come down through here, and there's the influent as well. If I hold the control key down, and so I've picked an influent one and an effluent one, doesn't matter which one, and I go up here and I do the drop down of add parameters to location, it now says multiple up here at the top. That means whatever parameters I add, I'm adding to those locations, both of them. So that makes that a real nice ease from that standpoint. Now, some other things that you can do. Let's say, for example, we have a brand new one. We're going in here, we're doing a brand new one. We've added a new clarifier. Remember how I said that at the beginning? Maybe that's one of the reasons we're adding a new location is we added a new one. Well, we already have one already there. So instead of going through and creating the name and plus sign and grabbing everything like I showed you, we can come over here to the right and we can hit copy location parameters. And then we can find what location we want to find. So for example, we're going to do these are primaries, for example, and we're going to grab our primaries. And so now we have 5 primaries. So I can go and I can select it and I hit OK. Every parameter that is associated with it will show up. Now, it does give us an error message saying, hey, that one already exists. No big. We just go in here and we change it to 5. That way we created a 5th one. We didn't have to go searching for the parameters. We have everything we need right there and we can just grab it just to make it a little bit easier. All right. Now, with that being said, when we go, like I mentioned, when we're looking at location parameters, it does not necessarily mean that we are using it for permit stuff. Some little things just to kind of give you when you're looking at it. So when we go in here and we're creating new ones and we bring up the parameter list, There are parameters that are set inside the program and that are programmed into the program for certain things. All right. So let's say, for example, we wanted to look for our mixed liquor suspended solids. This is an aeration, an aeration tank, and we want to track the mixed liquor suspended solids and mixed liquor volatile suspended solids. Now, for MLSS, it doesn't exist. But yes, it does. Because just because we don't have it as MLSS, we may have it listed as something else in the program. So we may call it TSS. Now there is a solids TSS there. Now we may use that one because here's the reason why that is the same as a mixed liquor suspended solids, for example. The reason being is the mixed liquor suspended solids is the test procedure is the same as it is for total suspended solids. So that's why they're used interchangeable. Now, if you don't want to, you want to create a mixed liquor suspended solids, go ahead. No big deal. But take a look at stuff from a broader standpoint when you're searching, because there may be one in there already. All right. Okay. So keep that in mind as you go in. Now, when we look at this and we talk about what stuff can we track, we mentioned stuff along the lines of actual permit data, lab data, things along that lines. An example of something else that I used to do at my treatment plant, and it was more because it was how I was taught, was we did everything based on microscopic examination. Even though, yes, we did run our mixed liquor suspended solids, we ran our ammonias, we ran everything that we needed to run, but we also tracked things that we ran the plant based on a microscope. That's how I was taught. So one of the things that I did at my plant that I ran was we actually tracked all our microscopic examination stuff. So the filaments, the flagellants, the free swimmers, stalk cylinders, worms, things along the lines. We tracked how many of those we had. So in doing that, we created a location that had those things on there so that we could track this. Every single one of those parameters they're not stock parameters, they're ones that are built in. So think outside the box. What do you want to track? When we're looking at setting stuff up for location parameters, are you doing stuff in a spreadsheet right now? All right. Are you doing it in a spreadsheet because, well, it's never been set up in operator 10? And it's using the adage of, well, this is how we have always done it. Well, think outside the box. What other stuff can we do? We worked with a client that I'm working with one right now, that this particular client, when their program was set up, it's a water plant. They did nothing to track chemical costs. So we're in the process of setting things up for chemical costs. By doing that, then what that allows us to do then is they're going to be able to figure out cost per million gallon. So when they have these facilities wanting to be built, they're wanting the area happens to be wanting to have a data center put in. They want to council and everything saying, well, what's it cost to produce water? So we know what we can charge them and things along that lines. Well, they're going to have it because that's something they've never had, but we're adding it in. All right. Now, when you look at adding things in, like I said, think outside the box. Is there things that you're going to want to do that you may not have, that you've never done before? We'll look at putting those in. One of the things to remember when we go and we're putting this in, again, some little help tips. F1 key, give you help on where you're at. In this case, we're in location parameter, so it's going to give you help on what we have and what things are from that standpoint. A couple other things when it comes to location parameters. Location parameters, one of the things that you have is what is called an entry type. There are two types of entry, daily and hourly. Now, what's the difference? Daily means I'm going to enter one value for this location parameter per day. Straightforward. Um, Hourly does not mean I'm entering stuff every hour. It doesn't mean I'm entering it every 5 minutes. It doesn't mean I'm entering it a minute. All it means is I'm going to enter more than one per day. So if I'm doing rounds and I want to track my DO for each one of my rounds that I do every day, you're going to do, maybe you're going to set it up as dissolved oxygen hourly. And I want to return, and when you do an hourly one, you have options of what you want to return as a daily value. Non-sum means you're not returning anything. Average, max, min, sum, and count. Those are what values would get returned to the daily value. So if I did my dissolved oxygen, I did 3 a day, maybe I want to return my minimum, my hourly minimum to the daily value. Again, the idea is just so that you have something that you can do. It's not a requirement. We've done it on hourly before with clients. I've done it with clients where instead of hourly, we just have 3 daily values that we enter. So we have a dissolved oxygen 1, 2, and 3. And that's just what we enter. That's how we enter. Again, up to you on what you're using, but that is one of the options. Another option you're able to do is you are able to add formulas. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on formulas. This is something that we've actually done a past webinar on formulas. Feel free to get out to the website and take a look at that, and you can review that function, that webinar again. But you can do formulas. Formulas can be done for anything that you need. Any type of formulas that you want, such as a percent removal in this case, or pounds, or maybe it's a detention time or wasting rate, those can all be defined. So it's very simple. The other thing that I always like to tell people about is what I call lower and upper limits. These are, to me, were very useful. They're very helpful. What they are is they are not necessarily a permit limit. They may be. You may be using it as a permit limit, but it may not be. This may be just a limit of an entry so you can protect yourselves. Or a process limit, but it may be an entry limit. What these do is when you go and you put a lower and upper limit. So for example, if I come down here and I look at pH, I have a pH min of 6 and I have a pH max of 10. So what happens if I enter something below a 6, then what happens is I get a warning. If I enter something above 10, I get a warning. So if you're one of those fat finger typers like I am, and instead of entering 7.5, you enter a 75, you would get a warning on it. Now, are these necessary? No, you don't have to use them. They come in real useful. I have one client that I just did some training with here the other month. They actually are going in and they're putting limits on every single one of their LPs. And it's just what they want to do. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So those are very useful. They can be put on calculated values. They can put it on entry values as well. All right. So when we look at location parameters, think outside the box. Like I said, I know I say that quite a bit, but that's how I look at this program. If you're doing it in Excel right now, because it hasn't been put into operator 10, think about putting it in operator 10. If you need help with that, or it's something you would like to have us do for you, feel free to contact your sales rep. You can contact me as well, or Daryl, and we'll figure out what you need and what it's going to take to do that. The other thing that you're able to do, and like I showed you the health file. The other thing that you are able to do, and if you haven't done so yet, is if you go to our website, all right, and you go to the website, there's a section out here called Customer Portal. I would recommend, if you haven't done so, do so. Sign up for the portal. What it will do is when you click on the Customer Portal button, what it'll do is it'll prompt you to create an account using an email and a password of your choosing. The email will get associated with your account inside our storage, our program that we use to track accounts. You'll be added to there. When you do go into customer portal, again, once you've logged in, it'll log you in automatically. And then there are some things in here that you can use that are really that are really helpful. Since they came up here and said it, always give us a smiley face. We appreciate smiley faces if you want to. But there's other things that you can do. You can file a support ticket. So if you need help adding location parameters, all right, one of the things that you can do is you can go and you can click on that, and that will allow you to go in and you can get that support ticket, file it. It'll come into our tech support department. Somebody will get back with you immediately as soon as possible and set up a time to talk to you or give you a call and say, hey, what can we help you with? All right. This also will show any support tickets with your organization. So if you have a lot of support tickets already out there, those will be in there. So if you have to look at one and see what the status is, whether it's closed or not, or maybe you want to just look at it, you can go and look at that support ticket and it'll show you that. This is also in here. There's some things in here that will allow you to get some other help as well. One of the things we have is we have a get training section. What this does is this will show you all the training options that we have are available on site, online, how our process, how it works. Okay, you're able to do that. And by filling this information out, we will then contact you and say, hey, what can we do and how can we get things set up for you? Another thing that we have in here is, and I mentioned this, was those webinars that we talked about. So we can come in here and we can go into the webinar section and look at all the old ones that we have and we can explore them. So if I want to look at operator 10 webinars, I can come in here. Here's, like I was saying, that Formula 1 and Formula 2. We actually have those two available in there. You can rewatch those. There are no cost for those. Those are available to you as our clients and as you guys can go in and do it. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, and this is something that we have coming up in April. This is a fantastic opportunity. We have an event coming up in April. It is called our Operator's Edge event. Okay. The Operator Edge event is what it is. It's going to be a 2-day event in Chicago, April 23rd and 24th. What we will have in here on this here is we are going to cover everything in Operator 10. That whole 2-day time period, we're going to take deep dives into every aspect of the program, what it does, how it works, things along that lines. Go out. I highly recommend if you want a good training at a reasonable price. Right now, we're running a special on it. We have a special going on, I think, through middle of March, which very good price on it. You'll spend a lot less than what you would if I came to your site. All right. So keep an eye on that and you're going to learn a lot at the Operator's Edge. Pricing, everything is out on the website, how you can get signed up for it. Everything will be in here and it's going to be a fun time. Also, while we're at the Operator's Edge, we will be introducing a new product that we have coming out this year, and it is going to be a cloud-based version. It's going to be called Synexus. What we're going to do is it will have access to all 4 of our programs that we have, water, wastewater, pretreatment, and our maintenance program. Based on your license will be what you have. It will be a complete cloud version. There's some neat features that we're going to be able to do in that are coming up that are going to be that I'm real excited about. We've had people asking about it, such as scheduling and notifications, things along that lines. We have that available. Well, we're going to be showing that while we're out there in Chicago. It will be a great time. We've got a lot of clients coming from across the country. We have clients coming from across the country to join us. Hotel we're staying at, it's on the north side of Chicago. It's a really nice hotel. Stayed there with WEFTEC the other year. So keep that in mind as something that you may want to come and look at, come join us for. So that is where we're at right now. One of the things too is as we look at things and as we talk about these, you will be getting two things. You will be getting a follow-up email on this webinar. It will give you a link to the video that we're recording for it. So you will have that available and you'll be able to go and download that video and watch it again. But one of the things that we always like, and again, we do webinars every month. Next month, we're going to be doing one on Entero. It's going to be maintenance. It's not just for the lab anymore. I mean, not just for the plant anymore. Um, and we'll be doing one on that. But what topics would you like to see? Is there an area that you would like to dive in deeper or see more of or something in any of our products? Feel free to respond to that email that you get, and that'll help us to get better trainings for you, for what we want to do, things that are of interest to you of how we want to do things. Again, want to thank you for coming today. It's it's been my pleasure to present this to you and just ask that if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to our sales staff or to our tech team, myself. Feel free to reach out at any time. And thank you so much for coming. And we look forward to seeing you next time.